Hello, welcome back to this third part of video series from Bluej game development with Libgdx framework. So in the previous video, we just populated our we just created a class called Bluej game. This is our the very first class that will be created, but let me just delete all the classes that I've already created, so you can start you can follow. So let me just delete it one by one. So okay, so for the sake of the beginners, or if you're just newbie with this kind of projects or game development, so you can be able to follow. So I will just delete it. Okay, so I will just delete it so you can really follow along with me. So this is what we did in the previous video of this series. We implement application listener, but there is a class which allow us only to use the method that we want, and we don't want to implement it. We can use the extends keywords. That class also implements application listeners, so we can just extends instead of implement. So extends, and there is a class called game that that is implemented the interface, and since we only extends the game, we can decide what kind of method that we are going to use. So you can see there's a warning or error message that telling us Bluej is not abstract and does not override abstract method create. So we need only to override this method in game. So if we try to look at the game class in our Bluej, in our Libgdx, so we can just look for the game class. There is a method that that we need to override. So this is the game class that implemented the application listener. So once we extend this class, we are not forced to implement all the methods like what we did when we implement application listener. So you can see the field summary and the constructor and the method that are already implemented when the game use or implement the interface. So there is one method that it does not override, and that is the create method. So that is why we need to override this method even though we extend only the game, because this method is not being override from the game class. So we need to override the method create. So public void create. Okay, so and once we already done that, we can now started to write some code or create a new class. Okay, so since this class will be our driver class, and we will create another class in which that class will be our game state, or which our game will be loaded, or we can play that class or what kind of game or logic into our game. So we can just call the set screen method, and this will allow us to create multiple screen. So whenever we want to create for example a loading screen or a menu screen, or the actual gameplay, the game screen, or in which we can play the actual game state of our game, so we can just call this method to create a new screen. So and this method take the screen class as parameter, so we can just we need to pass the same class. Okay, otherwise it will not work. So okay, let me just type it. Game screen, new game screen. Sorry for that. Okay, let me just head over to the Bluej and create a new class, game screen. Okay, so excuse me. Now open game screen class. We need to delete, and just need to delete. We just leave the constructor empty. Just need to delete the method, and here we will implement our screen. So implement screen. This is the screen class, so we can find it here in classes. So we can go here and type screen. You can see that there is a screen class. So there's an interface type of class, the screen, and we can just copy the same the packages. Okay, so we need to paste. We need to write some import statements, and then paste, and this will allow us to use the screen. And then we need to implement or override a method dispose. Okay, let's override that method, and this once you will implement, as I said before, once you will implement the screen class or interface, or a type of interface, we need to override all the method that it has. So we need to override public void show is like create method. It used to initialize objects, so we need to override render, and it has float delta. We need to override public void resize. Need to override public void false. We can just copy and paste instead of typing it one by one. So we can just so we can just the resume hide dispose, and all of the method that we need to override. So we can just type the read. Okay, the read and type. Okay, so now we can just auto layout. Okay, let me just auto layout and reload, save. Okay, then we can go to the Bluej and just reload. So, and the error were gone. So okay, so since we will not instantiate this game screen, we don't need this constructor, so we can just delete now. Okay, so just to show you an example, we can create an example just like font, or just to show you something in our screen. So you can just type private bitmap font private sprite bats and private photographic camera camera so but anyway, we can just run our game even if without importing this one, but we need to create our main method. This is the this is where our first class will be instantiated, or okay, so I will just show you the public static void main and string args. Okay, so and so we need the other imports of packages, okay, lightweight, the lightweight Java game library, okay, LWGGL. So we need this to create an application window, so we can just copy and import it, and the other one is the application. We need this, we can just copy and import. So for the first time, once you will created the a new first class, so only one class will be instantiated into our static void main, and that is our driver class. And we can see that that class in the create method, it sets screen to new game screen. So this driver class will be instantiated into our main class, and within this class, other classes also connected or rely to this driver class. When we create other classes, something like we can call a screen. So for example, we have a multiple screen, so that should be connected to this class, because by default, or how can I say it? So only one class will be instantiated in our LWGGL backends. Okay, so once we have that, we need to create a new instance of our configuration. So we can just copy and paste cfg equals new cfg and constructor. Okay, so we are initializing a new cfg, or a new lightweight Java game application configuration. So, and then we can set up here our width, and we can just put something like 1080 or 640, or we can just create a constant later on. So but for now we can just write 640, and cfg that height will be something like 300, and within this excuse me, once we redone that, okay, so we can create a new instance of our application. So we can just instantiate it, our class application, and we need and if you will hover, okay, so just compile it, and you can see that it says no suitable constructor found for LG LWG application, no arguments. So because this class need the instance of application listener, so okay, so let me just close it. We go here and we need to instantiate it our class that instantiate, that is an instance of our application listener. So we can just call the new Bluej. This is our starter class, Bluej game, and we will pass our CFG. Okay, so now we can see that no errors. So now we can run our game, our application window rather. Okay, so you here, just click and void, just run, and we can see that we have a little window here. Okay, so thanks for watching in this video. If you think that this video will be helpful to you, and you can subscribe or you can follow me to the next